So this is a good one, though. This is about a nosy neighbor that doesn't like the way this person is training their dog in their own yard. And the person threatens to call animal control on them because they have a prong collar on the dog. I'll read it so you understand how minor this issue is with training, but how big a deal it is to have a neighbor like this. Hello, Cindy. I have a Labrador Retriever that I'm in the process of training. I have to use a balanced training approach with him since positive reinforcement and food rewards aren't enough for my dog. He's stubborn and he's good working lines. He's a Labrador. I'm going to say this too, because I'm butting in a little bit in the explanation, and that is the difference between all positive dog trainers are trainers that mistakenly think they can train a dog 100% of the time with food rewards and toy rewards and never correct the dog, and they are dead wrong. Dead wrong. I've been training dogs for over 60 years. I know a little bit about dog training. I grew up in the yank and crank area of dog training in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s. There was no reward-based training back then. But then reward-based training came to the United States in the 90s. And at first I didn't believe it worked. But then I was introduced to it and I thought, oh, this is cool. So I will say this though, you should start your dog, start your puppy on reward-based training. But as the dog grows, as you introduce it to more and more and more distractions, you're only a matter of time with 99% of the dogs out there, where your dog is more interested in that distraction over there than it is in the food reward, the toy reward, or you petting the dog when it does what you ask him to do. And at that point, you have to introduce the dog to corrections. There's a whole process to slowly move into this. There's a process to building engagement with your dog, teaching your dog a recall, an instantaneous reflexive recall where you say its name and it instantly turns and comes back to you. I cover that in the course that I did a year ago on how to train a reliable recall. I do need to say this, that when you get to the point where you do have to apply a correction, you need to approach it differently, or a little differently. You need to understand it, and that is the purpose of a correction is not to punish a dog. The purpose of a correction is to get a behavior change. Now, the caveat to that is if you go out and in 10 times in a row, your dog's ignoring you, and you have to give him a little bit of a correction to get him to ignore that and comply with what you're asking, and he continues to do that, then you have to up the level of pressure you're putting on the dog. You have to get to the point where the dog respects you when you ask him what to do. Again, the caveat to that is so many people, and remember what I said, I came from the world of yank and crank training. I know how to pressure a dog and they're doing everything, but I don't want to destroy my relationship with the dog by being unfair to him. I don't want to destroy the relationship with my dog by giving him too hard of a correction that he didn't really need. I want to find the balance. I want the balance between the dog learning that, okay, there's a distraction there, but he's calling me, I've got to go. And I know that when I do go, good things are going to happen. I'm either going to get food rewards, I'm going to play with him, and with a dog that's an older dog that knows the game, just good boy, thanks. So that's the way that you kind of want to look at this whole thing. And when you come back to this lady who's threatening that, she goes on to say, I feel like I can't even train my own dog in my own yard without having her watching or calling on me when I'm just correcting bad behavior with my pup in training. Cindy said, I wish I had some advice for you. Neighbor problems can be a real nightmare. Yeah. If I had a neighbor like this and she was interfering with my dog training, I'd probably find a new place to work with my dog. Cindy's a lot nicer than me. I don't know what I would do. I can tell you that when I was done, I probably would recommend she call animal control, and I'd bring the animal control officer out here and give him a little lesson on dog training. because I will guarantee you that anybody that's doing that, that's got common sense, is going to understand that you got a nut job living next door to you, just ignore it. Or we could go downhill from there, but in the end, this woman would stop that. I wouldn't be friends with her. The way I look at it, I have enough friends. I'm 77 years old. I don't need new friends. I got enough friends that I want to keep as friends. And the fact that I wouldn't be friends with this lady next door wouldn't bother me a bit. So, with that said, keep your eyes on Leerburg, because I have a whole archive of over 20 years of seminars that I did with Michael Ellis, who's a good dog trainer in California that we've produced a lot of training videos with on how to train exercises like how to heel, how to jump, how to retrieve. Now we're going to start to release seminars that I've filmed, because I have no idea how many seminars I've got, but a lot of them. Some years we had Michael 2 or 3 times a year, and I've never released those, and I'm going to start to release them. So I'll put little caveats in my YouTube videos when they're available. I'm going to make them available at a very competitive, not a lot of money. So if you have other questions on training your dog, on breeding your dog, on behavioral problems, go to the front of Leerburg.com and ask Cindy a question. We get them every single day. She answers them every day. There's no other website on the market that does this.